Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Mixed Media Mayhem, which I am combining today with Baby Got Scraps. Today's Mixed Media Mayhem recipe included stencils, texture paste, and wood. So I have pulled out the stencil or the mask that came in the embellishment box from some Assemblage Required. And I thought I was going to use that speckled egg spray, but I don't end up using that one. I end up using the tumbled glass one instead. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking this mask and I'm spraying it with the Oxide spray. And then I am stamping it down onto my layout and using a brayer to kind of squish it into the paper. And it's not a really perfect impression, and that's okay. It's not intended to be a perfect impression. And it's kind of supposed to be a bit on the grungy and messy side. So I'm getting the look that it is intended to have, and I'm liking the way that it looks. The blue in the tumbled glass matches my photos perfectly, so I thought that was the better choice than that speckled egg. And I'm pretty happy with the way that this turns out. I've got these two photos of a group of kids on the beach. This is the group that was doing the beach cleanup. If you've been watching my channel this week, I've been scrapbooking the photos from this beach cleanup. It's a 4-H event that they had proposed was to do a beach cleanup, and then they would follow it by having like roasted marshmallows, hot dogs, and then some games. And so I've been scrapbooking that all along. But these two photos are actually the group of them together at the top, and then the second photo is them getting their plastic bags and their plastic gloves to go clean up trash off of the beach. So I definitely wanted to include that in there because that was really the entire purpose of this event. It wasn't so that they could go and have hot dogs and marshmallows and to play games, but those were things that would entice a bunch of the other kids in the 4-H groups in our county to come and join them. So they ended up doing quite a great job of cleaning up pretty quickly, and spent a lot of the rest of the day just hanging out and enjoying each other. And of course they cleaned up after themselves as well, because we can't leave a mess after we have just cleaned up the beach. So it was a fun day overall. Everyone had a great time. A lot of games were played, volleyball, some frisbee. My son brought his kite and flew the kite. Sandcastles, digging in the sand, all that kind of good stuff, playing in the waves. So it was a good day. Basically, this layout, I really just want to tell why they were there and what they did, because I don't really say a lot of that on the other layouts. It's more about that they had a great day and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to really get the intention behind it, because in 4-H, community service is really important. And they take that kind of seriously, leadership and community service, at least in our area. They do a lot of the animal projects, but we have a lot of projects that are not animal related. And so this particular project that put this on was the leadership project. And these photos are from 2009. So they're super old photos, but, you know, I still want to get those stories told and document them in the scrapbook. So I pulled out a bunch of scraps from my kind of neutral toned bin of scraps. It's got like my browns, my tans, whites, black, gray, anything that is more of a neutral. And then I have a bin for warm colors and a bin for cool colors. So I just went through the bin that had all of the browns and such, and I pulled those out, and I'm going to layer them up. I don't really care too much that they have pieces cut off of them and they aren't whole and they don't fit behind the photos. It doesn't really matter to me at all. All of these scraps can still be used to mat photos. I don't need a complete outline or a complete mat all the way around. I just need it showing on two sides. And it doesn't really matter which two sides, as long as I have something on the opposite side to balance it out, it will work fine. So I thought I'd pull in these tans and such because of the sand, which, you know, both of these photos, the entire bottom half, they're standing in sand. And so I thought that worked really well. And I am going to add a little bit of blue to it, but for the time being, I'm just going to work with these sand colors. And then I did pull out some ink pads there. As you see, I've got antique linen and I believe it's gathered twig. And then I just used my blending brush to bring in the ink from the edges. I also did pull out the stencil that is over in the Some Assemblage Required shop for this month. It's got stars on it, and I used some Snowdrop white paper glaze through it to add more stars right over that other mixed media that is kind of that grungy look. And now I've pulled out some stamps, just random star stamps from my stash. They're different sizes, different kinds of stars. Some look like a handwritten star. Some are like a circle with a star in the middle. And I am just using these Catherine Pooler inks and my Distress Oxides there to go ahead and stamp them down. I am testing them behind the photo, in case you're wondering why I keep lifting the photo up and stamping there. It's because I want to test the color and how the stamp actually works with the particular ink that I am using. I will hold up the inks from the Catherine Pooler set there so that you can easily see those, but they are Sandcastle, Over Coffee, and Macchiato, and those are all three different kinds of brown colors, and they work really well with this layout. I like the depth of the darker browns mixed in with that sandy color, so I think that works very well. More star stamps. These are little tiny star stamps, and that particular stamp set is an exclusive set from Chamel, and it's from her Disney Day, so it's not available any longer. The other stamp sets are quite old as well, probably not available either, but you know, a lot of stamp sets come with stars in them. You just kind of have to look, because these little tiny ones, they can be hidden like on your stamp set, and you don't even really realize it, especially when you have stamp sets that are like intended for maybe planners or card making. Lots of stars mixed in with those. That lighter color that I was just using was buttercream, as you probably saw there. And then I decided to pull out this wood veneer. This is some of the new wood from the Some Assemblage Required shop. And the link for the shop is down below for you in case you're interested in that. But it is adhesive back, and it's a 1/16 of an inch thick, you guys. It's super thin and really nice wood veneer. But I thought I would go ahead and pull that out. And I believe this actual wood veneer is from the embellishment box. So it's not available as a standalone item in the shop, but she does have other stars available in the shop in case you're interested in that and you don't want to purchase the entire embellishment box. Although I do recommend it, because you also get that mask that was used at the beginning for the blue stamping there, and there's several other items in that box, so you can go and check that out. Anyway, I do know I want to put a bunch of writing on here, as I mentioned, and so I pulled out this ledger type of paper and backed it with some more of the same papers that I used to back my photos with, and I pulled in an acrylic piece from Colorcast Designs, and it says the good part. I definitely want to write down the good part of this entire event was the kids and their willingness to do some community service and make that a priority. So here's where I decide that I need a little bit more blue on this page. So I'm pulling in this blue paper. I am going to back the entire area of the brown here with some of this blue, but again, I'm only doing one side. It's like offset to the right hand side, and then I'm going to put a little piece behind the journaling area onto the left hand side to balance the whole thing out. While I do that, I wanted to remind you guys that this is a hop for both Baby Got Scraps and Mixed Media Mayhem. Mixed Media Mayhem, we are doing a different recipe every Friday, and you can check out all the links to everyone playing along down below. And Baby Got Scraps is something we're doing all month in January, trying to use up our scraps, our 6x8 paper pads, and our 6x6 paper pads. Today I chose to work from my scrap bins rather than my paper pads, but I will be doing a fair amount of both throughout the rest of the month. I decided I needed to create some large stars. I did punch some smaller stars there, but I don't end up using those. I end up sticking with the wood ones. And then what I did was I just hand drew some stars on the back of this paper and cut it out and flipped it over, and I'm using the blue side. So I don't see the pencil marks, but you know, when you draw a large star and I can just cut it with my scissors, it doesn't look perfect, and that's okay. Something about mixed media, you know, it just doesn't always look perfect, which is pretty much how mixed media is. And I kind of like that homemade feel of these stars. So they're a little bit wonky, a little bit stretched out in some areas, and not exactly perfect. That bottom one, I am leaving that on top of the photos. The top one I am tucking under, and I like the way that that looks. And I do realize I am covering up a lot of the stamping and the masking that I did and the texture paste. But you know, that again is mixed media. You cover up a lot of it, but it all adds to the overall effect of the layout. So I am totally okay with that. So I'm just cleaning off my layout here so I can go ahead and start gluing down my photos and my journaling area. I thought I would have everything a little bit right justified on the layout there, but I end up going with a more central look, and that's okay. I kind of using these larger photos, which they're almost 4x6, but oftentimes I do use 3x4, so these are a little bit on the larger size for me. And then using that larger journaling area, I felt like it looked better if everything was a little bit more centered, bringing the embellishment area in the upper left-hand corner more into the cluster, so it looks like it's not just off to one side by itself, and kind of just bridging the gap between the mixed media areas. So I didn't really have enough to keep, or I didn't have small enough photos and a small enough journaling area to keep everything to one side and then do a separate embellishment area up in that upper left-hand side. So bridging the gap seemed like the best option for me. And then I'm using some Zotz Bling to put on my acrylic. I did take the white backer off of the acrylic so that it is more see-through, and in real life you can actually read it fine. I know on the screen it looks a little bit difficult to read because it is see-through, but the blue, I could not have chosen a better blue. It just matched the sky so well in those photos that I'm like, this has to be the piece that I'm using. And it did fit the bill, so I thought, you know what, let's just do it. Now, here is something I kind of did a little bit funny. I pulled the backers off of these stars, and they are self-adhesive, and I stuck it down on this white paper to see how it looked without inking the paper up. I really should have inked the paper a little bit first, so I'm kind of going back after the fact and inking the paper, and then I'm wiping the ink off of the wood because I don't really want the wood to be turquoise or blue or aqua or whatever color you're calling that. It is turquoise in my opinion, but I didn't really want the wood to be that color. I just want the paper to be that color. But once I stuck it down, it was down. Like I wasn't going to be able to pull it off. I probably could have pulled it off, but I was afraid I was going to break one of those stars because they are a bit delicate. And so I decided I'm just going to leave them on the paper, and then I will just ink it up. It's not going to be a perfect inking, but that's okay because, again, it's mixed media. No big deal. And then I'm just using my scissors, and I'm using my slice tool, which is a ceramic blade, like an X-Acto knife. And I like that it's a ceramic blade because it's a lot more difficult to cut myself on it. But it gets in there a lot closer than I could with the scissors. The scissors I could get in on one edge, but not on the opposite side. So in this case, for these little tiny ones, I was able to, I remembered to ink up the paper first, and then I stuck my stars down. And the little bottom star of that top left-hand one is kind of nestled between the and the good. and or the top of the T and the top of the G, and I really like the way that that just kind of like nestles in there, so that made me really happy. I know it's the little things, you guys. Simple and maybe a little bit silly, but it works. And then I'm trying to just scatter in some solid ones and some of the outline stars in the 3 different embellishment areas. And it kind of looks a little off balance at the moment just because there's no writing in there yet. But once I get the writing in, it's not going to feel off balanced at all. I did go over the edge just a tiny bit with a little bit of turquoise there just to kind of like give it a little bit more of an outline, but it didn't, really didn't make much difference at all. I then pulled out my turquoise Dina Wakley Media Gloss spray, shook that up, and I splattered a bunch of mixed media around. It is turquoise. That's all I was showing there was the color. Links to all the products will be down below as well. And those are all affiliate links. So if you do purchase, I will get a little bit of a commission back on that. It does help me out a bit, but please don't feel like that's something that you have to do. So you don't ever have to use one of my links if that is not your thing. So it doesn't cost you any more if you do, though. So that's all I'm trying to say. That is the finished layout, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and you go and check out the Mixed Media Mayhem group. The link is down below for that if you are interested in joining the group and playing along with our monthly hop. The layout is already posted that we are lifting for the last Friday of the month, so you can go and check that out. Thanks so much for watching. Again, check out all of the links down below for both hops and for any product that you might be interested in. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.